I truly would not give less of a about what men do to other men. Why are these people advocating for women to get by men? Then they're like, oh, they are prisoners. I don't believe that someone being in prison justifies them being like sold as a toy to appease aggressive men and to like pacify them or reward them for good behavior. And also, trans women are most likely to be incarcerated for illegal drug possession or prostitution. They are not in there because they abuse women. And for my third comment, they did send me like 3 separate comments. All are like worse than the one before. But they were like, and for my third comment, Nyara, I already know you discriminate, hate white people. I'm white myself, you dumb. I know that you support Antifa. I mean, you know, you don't really support Antifa. You're just against fascism and anarchy. Well, no, actually, I'm not really into anarchy that much. I know you have a red communist flag with a hammer and sickle up in your house or apartment. You know so much about me, but you don't even know if I live in a house or apartment. I appreciate the inclusion. I know that you like calling people Nazis when you're the actual Nazi. Since you accept and agree with using political violence just as the actual did, you can't go ahead and call me anti-fascist and then go ahead and call me Nazi. You can't call me an anarchist or communist and then go ahead and call me a Nazi. That doesn't make sense. What the? How many buzzwords do you want? Actually using every single one of the infinity stones in this comment. It's wild. We all know Nyara and the rest of the world is slowly waking up and seeing what was in front of them the entire time. Like, these people are so delusional. What the f? So funny. Only missing socialists? Yeah, real. Why did you not call me a socialist? These are literally the people who go like, oh, you call everyone a Nazi. Oh, Nazi actually lost meaning. Yeah, because you don't understand what the words mean. That is the problem. You don't know what any of these words mean. But yeah, his comments, they get so much worse. It's very simple. Leave the kids alone. You folks can cry and wallow all you want, but us who hold traditional values here will not let you brainwash our children. Yeah, that's why you support like Christian indoctrination stuff. Drag queens shouldn't be allowed to go to children's schools and teach literal children about what adults do in the bedroom. That is not what drag queens do. They read kids books to kids. It's a fun time for everyone. Love the intro and the other one like a magician. And for my third trick, they had like a full mental breakdown in my comment section. Just like a full crash out. Also, like, you know, sex ed is a thing. I don't understand why like people have such issues with like teaching children about like how to not get groomed. Oh wait, now I know. Phrasing it like that actually makes a lot of sense why a lot of Republican people are freaking out when children are getting education. God damn it. Absolutely nothing of sexual nature or sexual topics should be allowed in these children's schools. Yeah, and that's why you have issues with children not knowing that their uncle is actually abusing them. That is how you get to that. You are the types of people who want to like lower the age of consent. You're the types of people who want to normalize child marriage and stuff. You don't see issues with that. Also, like, just because someone is gay, just because someone is a drag queen, doesn't mean they like stand in front of children and then each other. It's age appropriate information. Teaching kids, you know, that like couples who aren't necessarily mom and dad, but mom and mom or dad and dad, that these couples exist, that's not a bad thing. Teaching children that it's normal and that it's like a healthy relationship. It's not anything it's not a kink, but you people cling on to this idea because you push this propaganda and you literally just want to use this as a distraction while people like you advocate for lowering age of consent. It's the parents' job to teach their own children about these subjects. The reason why homeschooling is so fucking stupid is because the parents don't know. That's like saying, oh, algebra, that is the job of the parents to teach their own children. Oh, the parents should actually like educate their kids on everything. You're saying that all parents know everything about these subjects. Like, school is not just a place to learn, but it's also a place to, like, socialize. That is, like, one of the biggest aspects. To learn that other children exist. And not all of them are white or straight or cis or, you know, the same gender. It's like important information for young adults, children, and anyone in between. Because these are forming years. But Trump loves the poorly educated. I wonder why. Leave the damn kids alone and stop trying to brainwash and indoctrinate them about your sick of. That's what you do. You're not leaving the kids alone because you want trans kids to suffer. You want trans kids to end their lives. You want to force trans kids into conversion camps where they're being tortured. You are not leaving the kids alone. That's why I'm saying that, like, healthcare, education, representation is so important. I know what it's like to grow up alone and isolated and scared and thinking that nobody is ever going to love you because you're different. Like, it's not a you people sexualize trans people, especially trans women. You are the ones with the sick because you don't respect trans people as people and instead view us as objects. It's something kinky. It's like the weird chaser mentality that you have. The only reason why, like, the trans tag is so popular is because people like you hate the trans people as well. There's a difference between sexual orientation and gender identity. Yeah, it's like not a just like the same with like this AGP. It's like you are autogynephilic males. You want to be women to be used as a sex object by men. You guys, womanhood is the same with like this feminization kinks, etc. And it's all just like misogyny. It's all based on misogyny. And that is like not the case. Trans women are women because that's aligning with our gender identity. And if you can believe that like intersex people exist, which a lot of these people don't actually believe, they think you're either born male or female, you're either born XX or XY. They don't even see like the nuance to a lot of like biological aspects. But honestly, being trans is probably an intersex condition. There's a mismatch between your brain and your biological sex of your body that is causing a lot of distress, and it's so much easier to change the body to align with your gender identity with your brain than it is to like change your brain or like brush it down or numb yourself to it. That is why like this mismatch, this dysphoria is causing things like depression, suicidal thoughts, anxiety. And if I point these things out and if I'm like, hey, you know, actually, if you give trans kids HRT, they are not developing gender dysphoria as much. And they are actually able to live their lives normally because they are not suffering constantly because of their gender identity, because of that incongruency. It is healthcare. Gender affirming care is healthcare, and like gender affirming care exists for cis people. It's the same with like this argument. It's like, oh, big pharma makes so much money with like HRT and these drugs and like medically castrating children, etc. It's like, no, actually, the reason why we have HRT is because of cis people. Cis people are literally the biggest part when it comes to the ones who spend money on HRT. You know, menopausal women need estrogen. Just because there's like some small group that is using pre-existing medication to treat something else doesn't mean that this is like the reason it's been invented in the first place, or that is the reason why it's making so much money, and that's why it's $1 billion like industry or whatnot. It's like, no, actually cis people have access to these things. They are using these things. They're spending money on it. And trans people literally use the same things, the same treatments that cis people have access to. That is just equality, right? Big Pharma makes too much money on HRT, better make it free. Yeah. This twisted autogynephilia theory has never been the tiniest bit logic to begin with. Straight up denies the existence of asexual trans women or trans women who are attracted to men, which is the mindset people like J.K. Rowling follow. Yeah, I mean, like, this has been debunked like a really long time, because that was like the first big conclusion, because these people think that the only reason why a man would give up their male privilege in a world, in a patriarchal world that benefits men so much more, they think the only reason for them is to be either predatory or like themselves for men. I read like so many stories. I think we had like a talk about that a while ago, about people who are playing D&D, and they were like, well, I told my DM that I want to play like a female character, and they were like, you probably want like the attention of men, right? So I'm going to like have every NPC flirt with you, because that's the only reason why a man would ever play a woman. That is like the mindset of them, because they think that women only exist for men. It's like, you feminizing yourself, you're making yourself lesser than a man, you're making yourself inferior so you can be used as a plaything by men. That is like their mindset, because that is like the only scenario that they have why a man would ever want to be a woman. But literally, trans women are just women. The problem is like you thinking that like women are inherently a property of men. That's like a problem that we highlight, and that's why TERFs push this idea that this is like something predatory, because otherwise we are highlighting too many issues that come from a patriarchal society, which is going to question a lot of like gender norms, gender roles, beauty expectations. We're existing proof that there's like so much wrong in this society, and they can't allow that. We sadly live in a society real. I ran a game once where when I had female NPCs, there would be more often than not. Jesus, yeah. None of my time as a dungeon master for D&D and Shadowrun, I had so many players working through some gender stuff. It was always a rather wholesome experience of self-discovery. When I played my first D&D campaign, I was playing a female character. Gender didn't really play that much of a role until we were on one island with Amazonian warriors that are matriarchal, and in my party were only guys. I got treated differently. There was like the only time when like my gender played a role. But yeah, it's like they literally think that all we are doing is just that is like the same rhetoric that has been used against gay people, and it's so sickening when gay people fall for that rhetoric and say that trans people are just like because people literally said the same thing about them. The way that like men lesbian relationships, for example, it's gross stuff. And now for his second trick, it honestly amazes me how a very low minority percentage of people think they can dictate how the rest of the population live. Okay, let's break this down. Billionaires are a very low minority. They are pushing certain narratives in the media, etc. Your government is run by a very low minority of people who think that you don't have any value because you don't have $1 billion. So it's kind of funny. You're worried about the wrong 1%, because trans people are literally out here being like, hey, actually trans rights are human rights and we should be able to live. Actually, like, destroying our documentation is a bad thing. Actually, you know, you should let us identify how we want to, because like it doesn't impact you. Actually, the guys, the men who abuse women in women's restrooms are actually not trans women, and they actually don't need to change that gender marker, or they don't need to be on HRT, etc. in order to abuse women. They literally just walk in there. You people need a reality check if you think the entire world is going to change just to appease a minuscule fraction of less than 1% of the population. Isn't it so funny that so many people fight 1% of the population who literally don't have any power? Most of them are poor. Most of them are struggling to get by. A lot of them just want healthcare. While the actual 1% that is responsible for your life to be miserable are in the government. They are the groomers. They are the abusers. You literally voted one into the office. Nobody is saying you can't live your life. Yeah, you people do. You people constantly do. You don't want us to live. That's why you want to eradicate our existence. That's why you deny our existence in the first place. That's like the issue, because like when I call these things out, then it's like, oh, what rights are actually being taken away? And it's like trans people should actually get their gender marker changed to align their gender identity. And you say, oh, that's not a right. That would be a privilege. That is where like the disconnect comes from. Is I can tell you all these things, and then it's like, no, that is not a right. That is not supposed to be a right. You shouldn't have access to that, because like then men could just like change their gender marker and invade spaces. And it's like, well, okay, if people are doing something, if people are abusing the system to do something bad, then I guess we shouldn't have any rules in the first place, because billionaires literally exploit the tax system so they get away with not paying any income tax. They are literally so rich because they cheat the system. There are rules in place and they know how to circumvent them. They're getting around inheritance fees. They're making a charity, putting their children in charge of that charity. Then they're saying they're donating all their wealth to that charity, and it's like tax-free. That is how they get away with like generational wealth. But the problem is like men don't even need to change their gender marker to invade spaces and do harm. You people literally treat predators so much better than trans people who are just living their lives. Billionaires make up 0.0005% of the world population, and trans people 1%. You're letting 10 billionaires control your life, and you're worried about 1% of the population going to the bathroom that aligns with their gender identity and their expression of gender, or like have them access gender affirming care that you can access without issues. Men who want to abuse women will do it regardless. There's laws against it already. Yeah, it literally doesn't matter. There's also no law for like men to not be able to go into women's spaces. You might get kicked out, you might have people say something, but you're not actually breaking a law. And the fact that people are calling the police on not just trans women but also cis women, like that should just prove that your hysteria is so unjustified and is actually hurting you way more, because it allows bad people to justify doing bad things under the guise of being like, well, I'm just protecting my wife from someone I thought looked trans, like they did with the woman, with the cis woman at a Walmart, where they're like, oh, this guy had to run into the women's restroom because he thought that like there was one of those trans women in the restroom. That is your logic, and like you don't even see the harm in it. It's just like, well, this woman doesn't fit the beauty expectations, doesn't fit like the gender norms, so obviously she deserves to get harassed, she deserves to get abused because she doesn't look like us. And then I call these things out, and I call TERFs out, and then it's like, oh, you're misogynistic. Oh, you never listen to real women. You don't listen to real women who support trans rights either. You just listen to women, like bigoted women, because they are sharing your bigotry, because they're spreading your rhetoric. Like everything is so dumb. This needs to be studied. I am worried for you because what you are saying is so delusional, so detached from reality. Like you need to be dragged out of that cult, that echo chamber that you're stuck in. Nobody is saying you can't live your life. There are like literally 700 bills being introduced in the US against like the existence of trans people. There are other places in the world where if you come out as trans, you're probably going to die. Most of us are incredibly scared of going to the appropriate bathroom, even without the whole bathroom debate. Yeah, like that's also a thing that like these people like avoid to talk about. The fear that trans people have of going into public restrooms, the fear that trans people have to go into like spaces that match their gender identity is crazy, because cis people are a much bigger threat to trans people than the other way around. All these things, they are not matching the facts. They're not matching the science. These people are not going to listen to the science because the right-wing propaganda already told them that it's like woke and fake and paid by Harvard or whatnot. Not to mention that men's rooms are super unsafe for trans women as well. Yeah, like trans women are more likely to be the victim of assault in men's restrooms than to be the perpetrators of assault in women's restrooms. But you people don't even have like any empathy, you don't have any sympathy because you're like, well, women shouldn't have to pay for male on male violence. It's the same with like what these people are saying when it comes to like trans women in men's prisons are treated like toys to the point there's literally terms for them. Look up V-coding. Trans women belong in women's prisons. Then this turf is like, I truly would not give less of a about what men do to other men. Weak men are not women. Why are these people advocating for women to get by men? It's crazy. And then I was like, I love that these feminists celebrated when women get by men in prison just because they think that they deserve it. Just because you don't acknowledge a trans woman's womanhood doesn't make them less of a woman, and it doesn't make rape okay. Then they're like, oh, they are prisoners. I don't believe that someone being in prison justifies them being like sold as a toy to appease aggressive men and to like pacify them or reward them for good behavior. I don't feel like that is an appropriate punishment for someone not being cis. And also, trans women are most likely to be incarcerated for illegal drug possession or prostitution. They are not even like predators. They are not in there because they abuse women and then they deserve it to get abused by men. Like, that isn't even the situation. It's okay because it's happening to those men. Yeah. Translation is okay as long as I don't like them. Yeah, and these people call themselves feminists. I read the story of a trans woman who was many times a day for a year, and there was something said that I feel like too many people overlook. They're in prison. They purposely target trans women. Sending trans women to male prisons is basically gift wrapping them. Yeah, that's V-coding. Like, the term is literally V-coding. Honestly, is one of the worst things that you can do to another person. Prisoners equals all cruelty allowed regardless of what they did. Yeah, that's why they don't have issues with like what happens at CIA black sites. It's the same mentality. It's like, oh, these are terrorists. But like most of the time you don't even know what they did. Most of the time some people are innocent and are being like shoved into there because I don't know, the color of their skin, and then they're being framed as terrorists, and then it's okay to waterboard them and like do like enhanced interrogation techniques to force them to confess to things that didn't even happen. Prisoners aren't considered human in the US. It's the same way how these people view the homeless. It's the same way how these people view undocumented immigrants. They don't view them as people because of the propaganda that's like being shoved into their face. And like literally this like propaganda about like, oh, the crime of like trans people. This is like the same thing that Hitler did with Jewish people to justify the Holocaust. Oh, all these atrocities that the Jewish population is doing. We need to get rid of them. This dehumanizing and demonizing has like a one purpose. It's to make the general public less empathetic for the lives of these people. So these people get away with doing the worst sort of things to other human beings. That is how they justify the genocide in Gaza. Because Hamas, they're all terrorists and they did evil things, and they're doing mass and things and like October 7 and stuff. You're literally justifying eradicating an entire population, an entire demographic, because some people are evil. But when I say, hey, maybe we should abolish the church because some people use it in order to do evil things, you're going to call me crazy. If I would be like, hey, we should get rid of all cis people, we should get rid of all cis straight men, all white cis straight men, because some of them do evil things, you're going to sit in the comment section and screaming, not all men, not all men, but it's always all Muslims. It's all gay people. It's all trans people. It's all autistic people. It's all Jewish people. Everyone who is different from you, it's always the same. But when someone of your demographic does something that is even more horrendous than anything of these other groups, then it's like, well, that guy was just like a freak. We should punish them, not punish us, because that's unfair.